All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second demo day of our Frankfurt School Entrepreneurship Center. This is Hannes.
This is Annika. Yes.
Thank you. And together, as both Frankfurt School students and also entrepreneurs ourselves, we will lead you through tonight's program. We are beyond excited for these 6 incredible startups that we will see pitching and competing for 50,000 euros tonight. Also, Franziska Reh, a Frankfurt School alumna and the founder of UNCAP, has prepared an incredible keynote speech for you. And we've got even more lined up for you, so stay tuned. Before we start, I just want to give a big thank you to all the supporters and partners that made today's event possible. Namely, AWS, Mindclip Behavior, Rhein-Main Business Angels, Auric Law, Die Firma, Daphna Gold-Melchior, and Philipp Weber from Momentum Partners. Thank you all. And now, let me begin by welcoming on stage a true visionary and the man driving most of the change happening here, the president of Frankfurt School, Professor Dr. Nils Stieglitz.
Well, I've never seen myself as a visionary, so good evening, everyone. Thanks for the very kind introduction. I'm really thrilled to have all of you here. It's really exciting to see how many have signed up to this event, and I think it demonstrates 2 things. I think it demonstrates that this is a celebration of creative destruction, of innovation, of ambition, and pushing Frankfurt School forward. That is, I think, something that the event today really signifies. So I'm very proud of what our team has accomplished today. I'm very happy how many students and friends and family have joined tonight. That's the first one. That's a celebration. Second thing, it's also a celebration of our Frankfurt School community. I was really thrilled to see also so many of my personal former students here that have helped us mentoring some of the startups. I did not expect to see some of them, and I was very happy about this. I'm also very proud that our alumni are supporting us tonight with a keynote speech that I'm looking forward to, but also for serving on the jury board, right? So we have Vincent Rose, Timo Knackstedt, Nils Welsen, and Max Bergman joining us today and supporting us in selecting the winners of tonight. So without further ado, thank you so much for coming. I look forward to a great evening with you. Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Welcome also from my side. As Dr. Stieglitz put it, we are really happy to have this celebration of entrepreneurship here at Frankfurt School, especially as a fellow founder. Next up, we will hear from the man who made this all happen, who built the Entrepreneurship Center, created a community of investors as well as mentors, and accompanies students and aspiring entrepreneurs here at Frankfurt School. He's a practitioner. As you can see, he's also a surfer, and he's the one who made this all happen. So please welcome the director of the Entrepreneurship Center, Shoham.
I never saw myself this big. Obviously, I love myself, as you can see. Anyway, I couldn't have picked a worse day for a demo day. I didn't realize that today my son was starting gymnasium. So all the weekend, everything was a lot of stress. But we're here today, and I'm going to make it brief. You know, surfers are just like entrepreneurs. We work hard. We need to pick the right line. Everything's out to crush us. You can see there's even rocks behind there. But once in a while, the perfect wave does come along. And it makes it all worthwhile. And every surfer remembers their perfect wave, or several perfect waves that they had. And what I really recall is this potent combination of adrenaline, happiness, and accomplishment. And in the surfing world, we called that stoked, feeling stoked. When I have a great wave, wow, I was so stoked. So to the entrepreneurs pitching today, remember your first demo day. I remember mine as well, and I had the feeling of stoked. Embrace this feeling and really let it carry you forward in your entrepreneurship journeys. You will crash a lot, but hopefully you will also find perfect waves. It's been a true privilege collaborating with you this past summer. I wish you best of success for the 6 startups pitching here. Round of applause, please. So, yeah, it's a significant stride forward for the Frankfurt School Entrepreneurship Center towards our goal. We are just over 1 year old. We launched last May 2022. And I'm happy to see that the alumni community is starting to become alive more and more engaged. In many ways, it's a little, it's almost like our little startup, the Entrepreneurship Center. And we've created something extraordinary because we have a full Audimax here. And I say we because I do want to thank my colleagues, obviously, at Frankfurt School. It's been an amazing journey for me to join such an institution. But most of all, also my direct team, which without you, I couldn't have made this. Where are our 2 startup analysts? Elias and Will, if you're here, please stand up. The startup analysts. Our startup portfolio manager, Gautam Atham. He's an MBA alumnus and really the right-hand man. He knows the startups inside out and connects them to the investors as needed. And last but not least, the lady who keeps us all sane, Christina Savina, please. Thank you so much. Our project coordinator. So with you as a team, we can build any startup. So I'm really proud of you. Thank you so much for putting up with me. Yeah, and finally, 25 years I've been doing this, and I have yet to encounter such a motivating and passionate community as fostered by this university. And what is truly unique is that the university attracts passionate people. Entrepreneurs are passionate, and I love surrounding myself with passionate people. We attract passionate people, and we nurture their growth. So for the students here, the next accelerator program will be in January. Get your hands dirty and join us. Just to put things in perspective, we've rallied 60 mentors already, alumni mentors who are very active with the program. We've launched over 50 startups, and we've raised, as of now, the startups have raised a combined over 7 million. This morning it was 6.6 million, but it's now over 7 million, so that's a true mark on the achievement that we've done. Let's get the show started, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
All right. Thank you, Ram. Next, I am very excited to introduce on stage a fellow female founder and alumni of Frankfurt School, Franziska Reh. As the founder of UNCAP, Franziska will tell you more about how she's making funding available for startups in Africa. Give it up for Franziska.
Well, I'm not a surfer, but I'm definitely stoked to be here today. It's been 11 years since I finished my bachelor at Frankfurt School. It makes me feel terribly old, to be honest, to be here, but also really, really excited. And it's really cool to see the interest in entrepreneurship at Frankfurt School increase by like a magnitude since I finished my bachelor's. This is how my career started. I was approximately 13 years old, and I was a member of the local youth team of Greenpeace. And this is not actually me, but it could have been me, because what we were doing, we were running around dressed up like chickens in my hometown Regensburg, and we were demonstrating against like the mass factory farming of chickens, also handing out little egg-shaped candies for whatever reason. For me, this felt like changing the world. But at the same time, my mom got really into trading stocks. And she talked to me quite a lot about like economy and trading and money. And I somehow had the feeling like if you really want to change something, you need to understand money. What better place to understand money than at the epitome of money, Deutsche Bank, the city of money, Frankfurt, the University of Money, Frankfurt School. And I did learn a lot about money. Actually, like, I really learned about how it works at Deutsche Bank Bad Homburg, being at the reception, cashing in checks for customers. I learned how it enables. I was writing my thesis about how to finance renewable energies. I was organizing a conference here at Frankfurt School. I'm not sure if it still exists, FS conference, about sustainability. And I was also working for the asset management arm of Deutsche Bank financing clean tech in New York for a while. But I also learned how it destroys. When I started my bachelor's, it was the beginning of the banking crisis. After my bachelor's, I got the opportunity to work as an executive assistant to the then German CEO of Deutsche Bank. Huge opportunity. Like back then, this was seen as kind of like the stepping stone to like fast-track leadership position within Deutsche Bank. I learned a lot, but somehow it didn't really feel right. And I felt very far away from that demonstrating chicken back in the days. So I quit, and I moved to Rotterdam to study my master's in sustainability. I wrote my thesis on sustainability in banking. And then I moved to consulting. Spent a lot of times on planes and hotels, at conferences, working at the consultancy back then for strategy and sustainability, had a good pay, great projects. But again, something didn't really feel right. I got seconded to the World Economic Forum in Geneva. Also there, more hotels, more planes, more conferences, traveling around the world, projects got bigger, clients got bigger, pay got better. I got more and more job offers, like those job offers where when you read them, you're like, this would read really, really cool on my LinkedIn. But again, somehow it didn't feel right. And I felt like I'm working on exactly the right content, but I'm not doing it the right way. I'm always the one delivering presentations, but I'm never the one actually doing it. So when the opportunity presented itself to start something new with a friend, completely from scratch, on a blank piece of paper, I took it. This is an Instagram post from back then, #newbeginnings. And basically, we knew we wanted to start something with purpose, something in entrepreneurship, but we didn't know what, how, where, with whom, like we didn't actually know anything. What we did know is that we wanted to solve a big problem. And so we very quickly settled on Africa as a region. Africa's population is supposed to double between now and 2050. That's like 2 billion people in 2050. Already now, 60% of the population is under 25. That's a massive potential. But that also means that we need 800 million additional jobs until then. That's an incredible number. Those jobs aren't there. Those jobs are only going to be there if we have entrepreneurs creating those jobs. But in Africa, there's one huge problem, and that is access to funding. 89% of early-stage startups don't have access to funding. So we, back then, quite naively said, that sounds like a good problem. Why don't we solve that? Why don't we find a way to offer funding to startups, financing to startups, whatever you want to call it, but do that at scale? Like, we didn't want to become a fund that invests in 10 entrepreneurs per year. We wanted to build something that could scale up massively and basically solve the problem at scale. We didn't know anything about the market. We didn't know anything about Africa, about entrepreneurship, about investing in entrepreneurs. So the only way to learn more was to just get started. We've put up a website. Back then it was called Jumpstart 21, something that sounded like, I don't know, money and acceleration. And basically it was 2 pictures, 1 sentence. Hey, you're an entrepreneur in Africa. You're looking for funding below 50,000 euros. Fill in this application. We sent it to a couple of friends that we had in Uganda and asked them just kind of like pass it around. We just want to see what happens. And within 1 or 2 weeks, we had over 200 applications from 20 different countries. So actually 200 entrepreneurs sat down, filled in an application that probably took them at least an hour at a company or a website that had no credibility, didn't look very professional. So it had nothing to do with us. The only thing it meant is that there is actually a huge funding gap, especially at that early stage segment. So now all these applications were on paper. There were stories on paper that didn't really help us. So we packed our bags, decided to travel to East Africa, and then we went from Uganda, Kenya to Rwanda, interviewing one entrepreneur after the other. And we really wanted to understand, what are they working on? How much funding do they need? What do they need that funding for? Why don't they get that funding? And throughout those interviews, one thing was very clear. There's an abundance of fantastic entrepreneurs in Africa. Very often, all they're lacking is 20,000 euros. 20,000 euros in Germany, that's a small angel ticket. 20,000 euros in Africa could stand between you being a one-man show and building a great company that could scale to hundreds of employees over time. It was also the time where I think meeting those entrepreneurs in person, for me, really manifested the determination to solve the problem, no matter how long it takes. I think it was important to meet those entrepreneurs in person, to hear those stories. We went back to Germany. Now we had 200 applications. We had no product. We had no funding. We basically didn't have even an idea on how to solve it. But somehow it was very clear that we had to rethink the way you invest in entrepreneurs completely. We had to find a way where you can potentially screen and source thousands of entrepreneurs across Africa, somehow invest in them at low cost, and then also manage those investments and somehow get your money back. For us, it was very clear that the only way to do that is to really focus on the one thing that matters most. And for us at that stage, those are the entrepreneurs. It's their personality, it's their skill, but it's also their grit, their determination, and their understanding of what they're doing. We've met a PhD student back then at a conference who was doing her PhD in Stanford on a little bit around how do you measure entrepreneurial potential. And so we started using personality tests. So we took those 200 applicants from earlier, and we started sending them a personality test, a skill test, a survey, and we've basically started building layer after layer of data with the idea to, at some point over time, the more data we have, to find something that has some predictive potential of entrepreneurial success. The next question was, well, how do you invest in all those entrepreneurs in a way where you cannot really do individual negotiations with thousands of entrepreneurs? You can also not really bet on an exit, because most of those companies will probably scale to a medium-sized company over time, or they don't even want to exit their company. Also, Africa is still a very nascent market. So we decided to build something from scratch. We actually wrote the contracts on our own, which in hindsight was a very bad idea. And we said, okay, we'll buy 10% in every company. That's it. And they buy back that equity at a higher price through their monthly revenues. So in that way, we have some equity as collateral. If there would be an exit and we're still invested, we'll still get something. But we know we'll probably get our money back at a higher price, and we also get money back from the get-go. We raised some funding back then from a friend of mine, also someone I met at my bachelor's here at Frankfurt School, and we just started investing. We invested in 27 entrepreneurs back then. Basically, we betted on 27 entrepreneurs back then across 7 different countries, and then we just watched what happened. And after a couple of months, the first money was actually coming back to our German Sparkassen account, then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And we were like, well, this is working. We actually celebrated with a virtual drink. It was in the middle of COVID. And we decided to really double down on that idea. Uncap was born. We raised some funding, we created a team, and we started creating a software that would basically build in all those learnings that we had from that first batch into an end-to-end software that really largely automates the investment process, from the screening to the legal due diligence to the management of the companies. We've invested in around 90 entrepreneurs since then. It was way below our original goal, but we were also very naive. We've raised a couple of million in funding. We have a team across 3 different countries. We're active in 7 different countries. And we're now at a point where we're ready to take the next stage. The journey since then was extremely rewarding. There were many highs, small highs like first office, logo on the door, bigger highs. We've just onboarded a US foundation as an investor. But the journey was also extremely challenging. Those are all the highs, right? there are not that many pictures of the low moments. Those are not the times where you take pictures. We're operating in a very nascent ecosystem. We're trying something that in the beginning, everyone I've spoken to, and I really mean everyone, said, you're completely nuts. That will never work. Why do you even try? And so every day there are new challenges, macro challenges like elections in Kenya, just every business activity stops. Other challenges like currencies. We have a business in Malawi doing really, really well, but we're not getting the money out. Fundraising, just last week, we had a really great investor where we're in conversations with. Sunday evening, he pulled out. I cried for an hour, licked my wounds for 2 more hours, and then got back up on Monday to try it all again. So the journey is everything. It's the highs and it's the lows. I work much more than ever before. I will make way less money, but I've never been happier by far. For me, this seemed like I was, and this sounds really weird and spiritual, whatever, but it seems like this is what I was truly destined to do. And since day one, it feels like I'm finally at exactly the right place. There were job offers coming up since I started the company, great ones, and I never, not even once, thought about them. Even two weeks ago, I talked to a VC, and they were like, hey, join us, blah, blah, blah. And I was already in that conversation, I was like, no, sorry. I'm doing this company, and I'm going to probably do it forever. I love being an entrepreneur. I love working on something that matters. I love trying to solve this huge, huge problem where I know that if it works, it could change the lives of thousands of entrepreneurs, millions of livelihoods. I love, maybe I'm addicted to the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, maybe a little bit. And I could imagine doing this for the next 30 years. And I think that's what comes when you build something that has a purpose. Because giving up, the price of giving up is not only you're giving up on some financial dream, you're giving up on change. You're giving up on something you could have changed, livelihoods you could have changed. And with that comes a resilience that makes it, I think at least, so much easier to endure all the hard times because you're knowing why you're doing it. Also, in my personal opinion, if all you want is a fast exit, and there's nothing wrong with that, you don't actually want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be rich. But if you're willing to solve a great problem, and you're willing to dedicate the time that it takes to try again and again and again, to build a team, to create a culture, to raise funding, to pick up yourself again, to motivate everyone, and to basically go through the hard times, then you can achieve something that I think is much greater than any financial success. Because then you're actually changing something for the better. And for me, that's the most rewarding thing you could do with your life.
Moment. Das ist noch für dich. Vielen, vielen Dank. Das ist schön. Machst du weiter, oder?
What an amazing talk, wow. Now we will come to our competition. And we will have a huge prize money. Someone remembers how much was it? Yeah, many said correct. 50,000, exactly. The first prize is going to get 30,000 of that, and the runner-up is going to get 20,000. Now, all the startups are going to pitch, and afterwards going to answer the jury in a Q&A for 4 minutes, as well as keeping it short. So to the founders, please keep it brief while answering the jury's questions. Talking about the jury, as Dr. Stieglitz mentioned, we have a great jury here today. I would like to welcome them all up. In the beginning, we have top venture capitalists here, starting with Nils from Chameleon VC. Next up, we have Vincent Rose from Berda Principal Investments. Max Bergmann from Hightech Gründerfonds. And then, last but not least, Timo Knackstedt from Schumpeter Ventures. Before we continue with the competition, we will first have a quick introduction round here. If you want to start.
Hi, everyone. First of all, it's really great to be here and to see so many faces excited about entrepreneurship. I'm actually working at a Silicon Valley fund called Chameleon, and I'm actually a graduate as well from Frankfurt School back in 2019.
Yeah, just as Nils said, also from my side, it's fantastic to be back here 4 years actually after graduating here from my bachelor studies. I'm Vincent. I'm an investment manager at Berda Principal Investments. We are a later stage growth fund, typically invest at Series B stages, and we're globally active. Our headquarters in Munich. We have an office in Berlin where I work, also in London, also Singapore, and we also invest in the US. But today, I think everything is about Frankfurt and Frankfurt School.
Hi everyone, I'm Timo. I did my bachelor here, did my master here, so I'm Frankfurt School alumnus. Very glad to be here again. I started my career in large corporates, then switched into consulting and then into venture capital. So now I'm in the investment team of Schumpeter Ventures. We are a Frankfurt-based early-stage venture capital company with focus on fintech, insurtech, cybersecurity, and climate tech. And yeah, now I'm very much looking forward to seeing the startups today.
Hi everyone, I'm Max. I'm working as an investment manager at HEGF, and unfortunately I'm the only one here in the jury without a Frankfurt School degree, but I already told Ram I could still do my MBA here, so no worries with that. Yeah, HEGF. Who's HEGF? We are an early stage tech fund investing in tech startups, founded almost 20 years ago, so a lot of experience in the market. We are one of the most active seed stage investors in Europe, so invested in quite over 750 investments, exited over 170 of them. We have 3 dedicated investment teams, so digital tech, industrial tech, and life science. What else is important? Maybe how do we invest? So we invest up to 1 million initially, and in total up to 4 million euros. Please, if you have any questions regarding venture capital, regarding HEGF, please stay for the networking part. This is the most important part. Ask my colleague Sören in the second row, or me, or the jury. And thank you for being here.
Perfect, thank you all. Now, I bet all our startup founders are already super stoked. So let's jump right into our pitching battle. First up, we have Ula. Ula sees herself as a creative, an anthropologist, always challenging the status quo. She founded a publishing house 10 years ago and just recently graduated from her MBA here at Frankfurt School, where she fell in love with finance. Please welcome on stage, Ula.
Thank you. There is no society without culture, and there is no culture without money. When I started my publishing house 10 years ago, I knew nothing about finance. I was used to fund my own projects only through grants, through donations, and investing some small amounts of my money. And even today, when Lapis Books is Publisher of the Year, and when I am member of the Lithuanian Publishers Association, I still don't have access to traditional funding due to some industry specifics for the cultural people. And this caused me cash flow nightmares for too long and limited my potential, and for too many times I missed opportunity to publish the next bestseller. And I know that this is the problem of all independent creators, because the most pressing problem is access to financing. So to find a solution, I came to study at Frankfurt School because of finance, and I got inspired by corporate finance. Okay, thank you. And I thought, if we have a concept of convertible loan, why don't we have a concept of convertible donation? What if I could turn my fans and donors into shareholders? And that would solve this amazing problem all cultural people have. If the project is successful, so great, everyone benefits. And if the project is not profitable, so then it's a donation, right? So to test this idea, I made a test project. So I needed 10,000 euros to invest into my next book project. So I created a business plan. I invited my network to invest. In 2 weeks, I got the required capital from 20 people. And when the book was launched, I was sending the regular reports for them about sales and impact. Finally, everyone was happy. I distributed the earnings, and we all together made 17% profit. The experiment was a huge success because, first of all, my bakers, differently like Kickstarter, they got their money back. Secondly, with this model, I established a sustainable capital flow to my business. And lastly, with this model, I got a totally new marketing channel because my investors wanted to promote the project because that represented their values and they had the financial stake in it. Sorry, the slides are old. Finally, that was the idea of that's how the Fundthis born. And we wanted to create the fundraising tool for creators that represents their needs. And even today, without having a live product, we have more than 20 creators looking to raise more than 300 euros with us. So currently, we have proof of concept stage completed. In October, we are launching the MVP, and in December 2024, we expect to have a crowdlending license and operate as a public marketplace. Our target size is worth 40 billion euros in Europe, and we estimate that the market segment of independent creators needs approximately 1 billion euros funding a year. And our business model is pretty straightforward, so we will charge a subscription fee per creator and also the platform fee for the capital raised. And in year 4, we estimate to become profitable and generate the revenue over 1.2 million. And we are pretty sure the Fundthis has a demand because we are industry insiders. So me as a publisher, Leon Brunsen as a founder of a Cosmic Society, the cultural management company in Berlin, and Ronaldas Borges, who is an experienced head of product and also the professional filmmaker. So currently we are raising 250,000 euros to achieve our next milestones. And if you think that your values aligns with Fundthis values and you want to help creators to grow and to create the new creative economy and to revolutionize the way the culture is financed, please connect to us. And if you are just curious about the Fundthis, please follow the link and sign up for our updates. Thank you for the attention.
All right. That was a great pitch. Let's hear our questions.
First, thanks a lot for the great presentation. Great to hear more about the company. From my side, it would be very interesting to hear how do you actually differentiate the competitors. I mean, I understand that you have a verticalized approach, but you also mentioned already Kickstarters in the presentation. Like, what's the differentiation compared to horizontal players?
So basically in the market, there are either players who offer the way of fundraising in terms of not financial return, or the players that are targeting the investor side. So we want to offer the tool that the creators needs the most. So fundraise on their terms and conditions.
Ulla, thank you very much for the first pitch of the evening. I have a question regarding your users. So you need creators and fans. So it's a classical platform situation. How do you attract and retain the users you need for your platform?
So first of all, we will start as a software as a service model, and we will privately onboard creators that we personally know. And we think, or we already proved, that these creators have the network who are willing to invest in terms of investment, not only donations. So for the first year, we rely on our creators.
Maybe just one more question, because maybe I just missed it. So you have already 20 creators waiting for 300K of funding. So who are the investors?
So as I said, in my case, also for Lapras Books, investors were my network. So the tool Fundthis will allow creators to create the pitch and send out the pitch to their existing network of potential investors.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for the great presentation. I actually have one question left. The 35 euros, who is paying that? Is that the creators, or is there also like an element of exclusivity in terms of access?
We think that it should be a subscription fee for creators, because one creator might have, let's say, 10 projects ongoing. It's like, for example, Lapras Books will have more than 10 projects a year.
All right, great. Thank you. Our next founder did his undergrad at Wharton Business School, it's not bad, and MBA at Frankfurt School last year. He's an autodidact and taught himself 3 languages and is now learning 2 more with the use of his own app, Cognate, his own learning platform. Please welcome with me, Alex.
Hello, does this work? Okay. Thank you for the introduction, Hannes. Yeah, thank you. So we're here in Germany, presentations in English. I think it's a pretty safe assumption that everyone in this room has at least some experience in one way, shape, or form with language learning. And I want you to go back to the time when you were doing, you know, your most recent Duolingo lesson or whatever the case may be, and you came across a sentence like this. And you probably felt like that little boy. You were bored. I'm not going on safari, and much less am I going to use my foreign language in this trip. So this is not really relevant to me. Why am I learning a sentence like the lion is eating the giraffe? But let's assume for a second you're a doctor, and you come across a sentence like the patient needs medication. All of a sudden, yeah, it's relevant. Oh, this is something I need. I might actually say this to another living human being before I die. But not everyone's a doctor. What if you're a civil engineer? Then you might come across a sentence like the bridge is made of steel. And again, you'll see, oh, this is useful. I could use this in my life. This is what I need from a language learning platform. And that brings us to our mission. Our mission is to hyper-personalize language learning with the help of AI. How do we do that? Basically, it comes down to content. Content is king in all media. I have a media background, so it's very important in language learning for engagement. And basically, that consists of articles on topics that are of interest to the user, as well as custom vocabulary lists specific to a particular area or profession. And then every user who comes on our platform basically fills out a survey, and we capture, hey, what are your professional interests? Are you living in Germany? Do you like tennis? Do you like photography, etc.? We combine all that, we create custom lessons, and then we have AI-powered chatbots that they can use to actually practice the material that they learn. And this basically is a very unique selling proposition within the market. Really, as Ram said, there's no other language learning app that taught me the finance words that Cognate did. And it's basically a mathematical certainty that that would be the case because Duolingo and Babbel stop at around 5,000 words. But to get to true professional fluency, you need around 20,000 words. And I felt this. Like, I moved to Germany, I was around B2 at the time, and I was preparing for finance interviews, and I was like, I don't know what Activa is, I don't know what Passiva is, I don't know what Der Vorrat is. And I was like, oh, maybe there should be an app that teaches you those things. And really, to bridge that gap, you need personalization because everyone has different needs. So we've soft launched our new app today. This is what advanced lessons look like. They're basically like, let's assume you're into astronomy. You might get a lesson about, going to the moon, and you read that lesson, and then at the very end, you get a chatbot who's basically an aerospace engineer. That's what the prompt says, and you can practice the vocabulary and talk about the article with them. Looking at the competitive landscape, it's very big, lots of big players, there's unicorns in the space. But really, there's always been a traditional trade-off between standardized, affordable, app-based versus an in-person tutor that you can basically have more customized type of instruction, but it costs more money because you're paying an individual for the price, for their time. And really, with AI now, you can offer that type of personalization and one-on-one learning, but at a price point that's much more comparable to a Buzu or a Duolingo, et cetera. You guys have already met me. I'm basically finance media with language learning geek, so to speak. Alesh is the CTO. He's been a CTO for over 10 years. He's had successful startups under his belt. He also speaks multiple languages. And together, we've basically built the product that we've launched today. And that brings us to basically our one ask. Give us a try. We successfully had raised a pre-seed. We're looking for more money to accelerate and be able to expand into more languages faster. And again, really, just try our app. We think it's super cool, super fun. If you know anyone who needs to learn German, please feel free. It's I think something that everyone can benefit from. And thank you for your time.
All right, time for some questions for Alex.
Thank you, Alex, for the great presentation. At the core of your product is basically AI, right? So can you expand a little bit on the different models that you're using? Are you building them internally? Are they off the shelf, like ChatGPT, and refining it?
We use GPT-4. Basically, there's a lot that comes through that, right? So we use the GPT-4 API. We use a lot of layered prompts. So for example, for error correction is something that we're still refining in terms of the chatbots, but we're breaking that up into multiple prompts for, is this in the right language? Are there any grammatical errors? What types of grammatical errors? And refining the presentation. So it's not really something that you could recreate by, oh, I'm just going to sign up for a ChatGPT account and talk to it that way. We're really doing a lot more refinements as far as that goes. And we have ChatGPT now has the ability to add custom instructions now to the prompts in addition to the prompts. So there's like a two-layer thing going on. And we've basically taken advantage of that to customize the bots to give them individual personalities and other types of things. So it's because you know, I use ChatGPT sometimes for Italian, but that's right because we haven't launched this for Italian. But as soon as this would be available, this would be a much better way to do it.
Alejandro, thank you for your presentation. I want to double check on the competition. What is Duolingo and Bubble stopping from also hyper-personalizing their lessons?
Yeah, I think there's a fundamental difference between Duolingo and Babbel if you look at like the way that they've structured their strategy. There's a reason, I mean, it's not lost on them that there's more words that they could be teaching people, but really they've basically focused on the segment of the market that's like the more casual learners. They want to learn German because they're coming here for a weekend, for like a week-long vacation. They're not really targeting the people that are looking to move here full-time. And you see that in terms of like how they've launched Duolingo Max. It's like here, how to order at a restaurant. It's a very scenario-based use of AI, and we're looking at much more broader in terms of like professional use cases and just having a generalized chat bot that you can talk about any advanced article about, and that's something that Duolingo or Babbel don't have.
Thank you. Just doubling down on the competition. So maybe Duolingo and Bubble aren't your real competitors, or maybe just indirect competitors. Who are the real competitors in your field?
I think the real competitors are the in-person tutors. If you're moving to Germany, a lot of the times you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the Goethe Institute, or I'm going to sign up for Lingoda. I want a human being. And I think the big difference is that not everyone can afford. Like I took Lingoda. I spent about $6,000 on Lingoda. Not everyone can do that. And I think that there's a real use case to be made. It's like, yeah, okay, it's not as good as a real person, but it's so close to that, and the price gap is so big that I think that's where we really can take advantage of the new technology.
Thank you.
All right, one last question, please.
Yeah, great presentation. Really like what you're doing. Can you maybe tell a little bit more about your traction? Your app is already live, I understand, right?
We did our soft launch today. We completely rebuilt the app in the last 3 months, and we soft launched today. But there's influencers I know that I've met with. One I know, basically he has like 15,000 followers. He has a blog for learning German. There's another influencer that I have met with before, potentially could do a collab. She has a few 100,000. So there's rev share opportunities that we would be looking into, especially with YouTube creators who have lots of followers, but maybe don't have the resources or the time to actually create learning materials. And we feel that we can offer them an attractive rev share compared to other.
And then one last very quick question. You mentioned, or you already see that you are planning to raise $500,000. How would 50 or 30,000 euros help you? What would be the next step with that money?
Well, it obviously helps. I mean, Alish is basically working full-time on this now, so he's eating into his savings, so that's obviously part of the consideration. But really what we would like to do is to start doing some marketing trials and do a little bit of paid advertising, get some user base, see what happens, and in addition to the rev share, but our main target is rev share, and potentially there's little things that we could do on the content side, you know, because neither of us are professional graphic designers, and that's a big important thing. So we have some people that have helped us kind of like pro bono, but it's not, you know, there's use cases for even a small amount of money, to be honest.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Perfect. Next up, we have Jonas Jeschke, a bachelor student here from FS, who now turned co-founder of Vestium. Together with his team, he's building on his long-lasting passion for two things, the fashion industry and also immersive technologies. Jonas.
Okay, so everything is becoming three-dimensional in the 21st century and immersive. Let's think of video games, let's think of cartoons, but also things like blueprints. And seeing those things in 2D may get you nostalgic, but let's face it, no one would actually go back to them, would you? So why is it that all the applications around fashion online are still two-dimensional? Let's think of closet apps. Let's think of vintage platforms. Let's think of outfit creators. We are Vestium, and let me show you how we are going to change that. You just take your phone with the Vestium app, open the scan function, and Vestium is going to create a 3D scan of your clothing and a 3D avatar of yourself. You can either do it on your own or with another person. And you can oversee all of your scans in a digital closet and simulate different outfits with your scanned clothes on an avatar of yourself. And you can, of course, share all of your contents with your friends and family. And later on, you will be able to sell all your scanned clothes on the Vestium marketplace. Right now, if I'm trying to get advice on my fashion choices, I have a few possibilities. I can take a picture in front of the mirror and send it to my friends. I can also use a closet app, or I can search and post on social media. But all of these things are quite a hassle, and they are, you know it, two-dimensional. To give you some figures, the global fashion e-commerce market is 820 billion US dollars per year right now. The European one is 178 billion US dollars, and the German one is 26 billion US dollars. Big market, but how are we actually going to make money with that? So we are in a prime position for personalized advertisements, especially for fashion, of course. And for those people who don't want any ads, they have the possibility to make a subscription for $3.99 a month. And later on, we will also receive a 5% commission on all sales on the marketplace. To market Vestium, we are already in contact with influencers like Justin Fuchs. Maybe some of you know him. He's one of the biggest German fashion influencers with almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And also with brands like Marcel from Berlin. Our influencers will showcase Vestium on their social medias and post their wardrobe, their outfits, while our partner brands will put a QR code on their clothing that leads to a pre-scan of the sold item. And of course, people will also force their environment to download Vestium. Well, this is all nice, but what have we actually done so far? We have raised a pre-seed investment of 100,000 US dollars, and with that, we have set up a team of developers that has developed a prototype and the first user interface. What's up next? Within the next 12 months, we are going to bring an MVP to the market and gain the first traction. And after that, with our Series A, we will add the vintage marketplace and the AI outfit creator and gain our first 1 million users. This will be possible with our team, our CEO, David Kohlbecker, experienced in strategy and business development, our COO, Daniel Baran, previously having led projects in the fields of VR, AR, and app development, our CTO, Hubert Christofik, an expert at immersive technologies and artificial intelligence, and who has developed one of the first metaverses, and myself, Jonas Jeschke, the CFO, previously having worked in the fashion industry. We are trying to revolutionize the way people interact with fashion online. We want to make it more interactive, we want to make it more realistic, and we want to make it more personal. And in order to do that, we are currently raising 500,000 US dollars. If you are an investor or a brand that wants to join us on our journey, please come talk to us. And for all the others, please type in Vestium.app and sign up for the newsletter. We already have over 500 signups. Thank you.
Wow, what a great presentation, Digital Closet. What does our jury think of that?
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for the presentation. Just a quick one. What are your thoughts on the monetization and the customer acquisition cost you're facing?
Well, the good thing is we know who our customers are, and so we can reach them over influencers especially. So we have some connections, that's why we get better prices, but of course we still have to acquire them in some way. And also the good thing about Vestium is people are going to force the environment to download it, to share their content. So we think once we've gained the first user base, we are also going to expand a lot on personal recommendations.
And just a quick follow-up question. You also mentioned that there is a second revenue stream, the B2B business.
Yes.
Could you give some more light on that?
Yeah, the advertisements. So we are in a prime position for personalized advertisements because, through the closet, we know your preferences. We know you're wearing a white shirt, maybe you like the Stan Smith, you have 5 pairs of them. So we're going to advertise you a new pair of Stan Smith, and that's actually quite valuable to the fashion brands for advertisements because they don't lose too many people.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you.
I mean, first, fantastic market you're targeting. We actually invested in Fundthis some years ago, so it's certainly one that is, there's a lot of trends addressing this. But same point. I mean, you're trying or planning to build a marketplace. Marketplaces are very often winner takes most markets, where very large players establish and then gain large market shares, and you're competing head to head with players like Fundthis, Depop, and also at the end of the day, eBay in the old versions, old days. How do you try to win in this market with such strong competitors out there?
So first off, with the MVP, we were just starting off with the closet function, really. And then later, if we had the marketplace, we already have a few users. And also another thing we're counting on is the whole three-dimensional aspect, because for myself, I'm using a lot of eBay and Vinted, and the problem is it's not very transparent. You're buying after the best picture, not after the best product. And with a 3D scan, that would be the first very transparent second-hand experience, shopping experience, because you don't have any right to return your clothes. And if you buy something that has a hole or something, you just have to stick with it, And this would be like the first transparent second-hand shopping experience.
Maybe a very short question. First of all, also thank you for the great presentation. How do you actually take the scan? Like, what kind of camera can you use? Because it was always my understanding that you do need some advanced cameras to make at least high quality, scans.
Yeah, I got you. So the thing is, we are really using the camera. That's the difference, because often if you use some kind of technologies, only some phones have. So we take the photos and then we generate a 3D model. But of course, I mean, I don't know the exact phones that fit in, but you should have somewhat of a camera quality.
All right, thank you. Now we are going to have a Master of Management alumni. And funnily enough, the idea for his biotech startup came in a Frankfurt pub over a very good Irish beer. Together with his co-founder, he already successfully raised, I just talked to him, 1.8 million. That's quite good. Please welcome on stage, Felix.
Okay, perfect. That works good. So what if I told you that the healthcare sector you know today will be not the same one 5 years from now? Imagine a world where chronic diseases such as heart diseases, cancers, or even other sicknesses like diabetes that are currently responsible for over 41 million deaths every year can be healed through targeted therapy. A world where loss of vision and loss of hearing can be cured. A world where there's hope for over 400 million people worldwide suffering from rare diseases previously deemed incurable. You might say, that sounds really nice, Felix, but where are we here? So right now we have actually a lot of clinical trials going on covering these issues, and we have a lot of promising solutions on the one side. But the way bigger challenge is actually not only the invention of a new treatment, but also to make it scalable and accessible in a large scale. And why is that? One of the key reasons here is actually the restriction of producing these therapies in a large scale for a fair price. And these can be broken down into two reasons. The first one is the capacity shortage. So on the demand side, we have almost exponential growth in these cell and gene therapies coming up. But on the supply side, we have almost a stagnation when it comes to production capabilities, but also to the people actually producing these treatments. And secondly, the use of ancient technologies. May I just ask if there's anybody here in the audience who is still working with Microsoft Windows 98? Anyone? But that's the current gold standard for the use and for the production of adherent cells right now. And as the consequence, you can see millions of people worldwide keep suffering and dying from treatable diseases. And on top of that, the healthcare industry supply chain emits 2 gigatons of CO2 equivalents every year. That's 4.4% of the global emissions, and it's more than the aviation and shipping industry combined. We at Green Elephant Biotech are not okay with that. And just last year, we launched our first bioreactor system, which is not even IP protected, scalable, and sustainable on the one side, but most importantly, it enables for easy automation and process monitoring in this field. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. Starting with the cell screw technology, we now build an automated manufacturing technology which enables easy scale-up for those cells and really tackling these issues I just mentioned. It tackles the capacity shortage by cutting out manual labor and really contamination risk, and provides full transparency over the whole manufacturing process from the beginning to the end. That's exactly what the industry is looking for right now to really upscale their cell and gene therapies right now. Just to give you an example, right now, 4 of the top 10 global pharma companies have already purchased the cell screw and are now considering to implement the automated manufacturing platform, we call it Archimedes, into their processes. But there's one more thing. Let's talk about sustainability. As you can see here, we compared other systems. In comparison to other systems, we 3D print our cell screw bioreactor system. And as a result, we can really cut down the material surface ratio, which means we only need about 20% of material to produce as much cells as our competitor products. And then the 20% we are using is even based on a plant-based biopolymer with better CO2 footprint than our competitor systems. As a result, we can save up to 90% of CO2 footprint in comparison to our competitors. So where are we right now? As mentioned earlier, we already fundraised 1.8 million euros, which really helped us to develop the cell screw, as you can see here today. Just have a look outside the stand. But right now, one of the key milestones for us to become ISO 9001 compliant and also GMP compliant, which will then allow our customers to not only use our product for R&D purposes, but also for commercial scale. And we expect to achieve this by mid of next year. And if you think this sounds interesting, then please reach out. We are right now fundraising our 4 million seed round. And the window of opportunity is slowly closing since 1 million is already committed. But I'm really happy to talk to you and really looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Go ahead.
How large is the market? Like, how do you define your total addressable market?
So the total addressable market, if we talk about a vertical integrated bioreactor pharma company, we're talking 320 billion in the last year. So we're talking about the CDMO, like a contract development manufacturing organization. Based on their technology, is over 320 billion.
And for your product, like what's your revenue potential in detail?
So it's really promising. Like, we have a business case calculated, obviously. So we are confident that we can reach over 60 million over a time frame of 7 years. That's because we are talking to the largest pharma companies out there who are really assessing their technology platforms right now, how they want to produce all upcoming cell and gene therapies in the future. And that's where we think we have a very good solution, because up until this point, there's no competitive system out there which can cultivate the adherent cells, the cells we are focusing on, in an automated way, how we do it.
Could you shed some light on the cost side? So you said 20% of the material you need, but it's a different material than the others use. So what about the costs?
Yes, that's also a question we often get asked. So the material itself is actually pretty okay. The thing is, we use 3D manufacturing in comparison to standard injection molding. So that's sometimes challenged if that's actually, if we are able to scale up our processes. But I can assure you, we have a gross margin over 90% already now if we produce it. And even the scale up is actually upnumbering with the 3D printers, which are just available by large numbers on the market. And that's what we're doing right now already. So we have a production facility in Gießen where we have a pilot scale GMP manufacturing facility. And that's what we're working on right now already.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
No worries.
Perfect. One more question.
Thank you, Felix, for the presentation. You obviously raised already quite a bit of money. How are you going to deploy that new funding?
So the focus obviously is in the development of the new manufacturing platform. So I think that's the key issue we're focusing on right now. As you know, in the market, it just takes some time to get the regulatory approval, like GMP compliance. It's a real big thing, and everything takes a bit longer. And about 50% of our costs are obviously related to our team. We have 14 people right now, and so that's the major part.
Perfect. Thank you, Felix. Thank you. All right. Our next entrepreneur got his master's in applied data science here from FS. He loves CrossFit and spending time with his 1-year-old son, who is also his biggest motivation. Please welcome on stage, Diego.
Uno, dos. Raise your hand if you as a consumer would like to know the emissions or the working conditions or recycling percentage of the products you're purchasing. Good to see some hands. Well, today is a must for companies to provide such information. Regulators and markets are forcing companies not only to respond for that, what is done within the factories, but to respond for every single intervention that is done alongside the value chain. This made companies to join and create networks where they can provide data on every single intervention. This network is called data spaces. Data spaces are collaborative ecosystems where companies can come together to provide or consume data under a structure that is standardized and understood by everyone. Here, there are no problems of there is different systems or there is incompatible data. Right now, there are more than 32 data spaces with hundreds of big companies already interacting within the network. Nevertheless, small and medium companies are struggling as they don't have the teams or they don't have the technical capabilities to join. And here's where DataFabriQ comes into play. We are one of the first companies in the world to provide data space connection as a service. Our solution, DataQ, allows companies to join, create an ID that allows them to be trustworthy within the network. It allows them to digitize their products, and it allows them to connect them to other companies. So how does it work? I'll show you how it works. Company A goes into DataQ to be onboarded into the automotive data space. DataQ generates an ID for this company, defining the exact role of this company within the value chain. Then, all what company A needs to do is to create a digital twin of their product. This digital twin is assigned a task. In this case, this digital twin will report emissions. So what's left? Company A shares this digital twin alongside the value chain. For those who raise your hand, you can rest assured that this data chain provides a valid emission. Data spaces are built on these de facto standards and technologies that are open source. DataFabriQ understands open source. And we are building our strategy upon the same cooking strategy like companies like Google. We understand better than anyone, so this means we are influencing the source code before it's even released into open source. And second, we are building plug-and-play but configurable solutions. This means that we are customizing it for our customers, and our customers are always ahead of that what is within open source. We are now at the crossroads within the digital twin and data sharing market valued at $20 billion US. And as you can see, there are not many competitors within this landscape. Most of them are focused on connecting, or there's a focus on digital twin. We are focusing on provisioning fully connected digital twins. Our solution, DataQ, is already certified and released within the automotive data space Catena X. For the rest of 2023, we are focused on raising investment that will help us to go into a global rollout. We will then move into new data spaces on 2024, data spaces like manufacturing, health, and also green energy. This is great, thanks to a really great team, a great team born out of the entrepreneurship marriage between Frankfurt School and TU Darmstadt, so thank you, Frankfurt Entrepreneurship Center. And together we have a clear track record of solutions released, SaaS solutions released within the market that are still running within the automotive and aerospace industry. DatafabriQ is set to become the leader on data space connection as a service. For this reason, we are raising an investment of €500,000. This investment will be focused on a global rollout. If you want to join us within this journey as an investor, or you would like to join us as an innovative mind, we are more than happy to welcome you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Being in Germany, we all know security is always an issue. So can you expand a little bit about the security implications that a product like yours might bring, or
Sure.
maybe not?
As I mentioned, we have a solution that is already certified. This certified, it actually means security. The solution is certified under the standards that the same automotive industry defines on how to share data, what type of data, how does it structure, what can you open, what you cannot open. And this is actually one of the second certifications in the world to be assigned. And we got one of it.
Diego, thank you for your pitch.
Thank you.
I have a few questions regarding competition and USP. Maybe you can go back to the slide with the competition, and just to help me understand, I think on X-axis and yes. So just to understand, so for instance, Bosch has no connectors, and Sovety is not doing any digital twins.
This is correct.
Okay, so because you said you're the first startup or company offering data space as a service.
Yeah.
So what's your USP if I say like Sovety is also doing data spaces as a service?
This is correct. Sovety is doing data space connected as a service. One of the things that is a differentiating factor is actually the digital twin. Data space connection is the action of exchanging the data. One of the things that we bring on top, which is a main differentiator against Sovety, is the digital twin itself. We provide already established structure that all you need to do is make the connection to that predefined structure, and this is where our unique value lies right now.
Okay, perfect. Maybe a quick second question. So why did you choose automotive? And so maybe what are the next spaces you're focusing on?
Automotive is our solution is actually living within the data spaces. Catena X, which is the automotive data space, is the maturest of all right now. There are following data spaces. For example, tourism is a following data space. Health industry is a following data space. Green energy is a following data space. But Catena X is actually defining the ground and the building blocks of everything that is done behind it. Our next move is actually those for what I mentioned. As we have a strong base within the automotive industry, we are seek to moving into the manufacturing industry as the next data space. Health also represents a very high-level market for us, which is basically also our next logical step.
Thank you.
And how are you selling your product?
Data spaces are actually having a marketplace. So when we onboard the automotive data space, we have a marketplace where we can publish our solution. Every single member of that data space can go into this marketplace and basically purchase our solution. The same happens to the health industry and so on and so on. So we are basically landing a data space, releasing our solution, and moving to the next one.
And how long is the onboarding process?
Right now, we're doing a 1-month onboarding process. This goes to an SME that actually has no clue of what digitization is. So we take 1 month to onboarding and to bring it into a stage that they say, I have a product, I have a consumer that wants to get data on my product, and this basically takes us 1 month to do so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, last but not least, we have one more startup, which is founded by Tom and Matthias from MEDICEO. One is an expert in marketing and the other one spent his childhood on coding. Now they are working in an industry where a fax machine is still used. That sounds fun. Please welcome Tom and Matthias.
Hi everyone. This is Tom and I'm Matthias and we are the founders of MEDICEO. I'd like you to meet Sophie. She's a young anesthesiologist in her first year at the hospital. She gets a call about a young boy arriving in 5 minutes with a severe medical emergency: urticaria, vomiting and high fever. She rushes to the emergency room. It's her task to save his life, but she has never seen this case and she doesn't know what to do.
So what are the options for Sophie in this situation? First, she will consult with her chief physician, but he might be in a surgery and is not available. So she needs to do research in the literature, but first she has to find a good source and read through very long texts. So this might obviously take a few moments. And if she does find some relevant information, there are often very complex diagrams within these medical guidelines. So in the end, she still needs to tailor these informations to her specific child. So overall, the estimated treatment success is quite low. Sophie needs lots of time in this very stressful situation, so she needs a tool that gives her quick access and safety.
With MEDICEO, we built exactly this support for Sophie. She's able to find her required information in under 4 clicks. We provide decision support at the point of care for medical professionals to find the information they actually need in just seconds.
So what does it mean exactly? We are made for the daily use in clinics where everything is super stressful and you don't have lots of time to do research. So we focus on being fast, reliable, and as a medical product, very secure.
Let's jump back to Sophie's case. From her studies, she recognizes an anaphylactic reaction. She now needs MEDICEO for the right dosing and as a trusted second opinion. We are currently active in 3 medical categories, and Sophie selects the children category from anesthesiology, emergency, anaphylaxis, and on one page she has everything she needs. Bulleted action items, and if Sophie enters the weight of the child, the dosing of the medications adjusts automatically. And within seconds, the treatment is a success.
Yeah, we've been visiting hospitals and medical fairs for the past 2 years right now, and now we are being used all across Germany. But you might ask yourself, how is it possible that 2 FS business students are doing something with medical information? Well, we're not alone. We've built a beautiful medical team out of doctors and medical students who are doing all the research and developing new tools for the daily use.
Talking about daily use, we provide medical information that have an actual impact on a patient's life with a lot of responsibility on our side. Here comes Niklas' expertise. He heads our regulatory affairs and is an expert in medical device certification. We are a certified medical product and with that, fully certified for regular use in a hospital environment. Every new intruder in the market needs to do the lengthy process and difficult certification. And of course, we also need IT and marketing. Besides Tom's and mine extensive experience, we have some great guys behind us.
Yeah, we kind of grew to a little startup family, which is backed by several chief physicians who are our medical advisors, and they're making sure that we're going into the right direction. On top of that, we're working from the beginning on together with the local university hospital of Frankfurt, and they decided to check our medical content and said, okay, bulletproof, we can trust this information, we want to use this. So they agreed on a pilot integration on their 300 devices starting this year, so we are now selling MEDICEO B2B to hospitals.
We can have an impact on so many people's lives. Why should we restrict the usage to only doctors and hospitals who have an existing contract with us? And that's why we offer MEDICEO also in B2C. This means we are available right now for every doctor, nurse or medical student in every app store. MEDICEO is free for medical students and available in a monthly subscription for doctors and nurses.
Quick overview of our company story. We've closed our pre-seed round last year in May, started right away with the CE certification, went live this February, and since then we're focusing on the pilot integration. Now we're collecting more money to scale up and expand into more medical categories. And by the end of 2025, we are estimating about 15,000 paying users in B2C and 70 hospitals.
Lastly, I want you to remember your last visit to a hospital or stories of friends who work in medicine. Change is needed. We are the much anticipated fresh air. If you are as excited about our vision as we are, it's time for you to join our team, tell your friends, or have a chat with us at the networking event as we're currently doing our seed funding round. Have a great evening.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much, and strong presentation, by the way. That was very good. I understand you're live. Can you maybe tell a bit more about your traction, where you stand currently?
Yeah, we've got 4,000 downloads in B2C at the moment, but we were focusing mostly on gaining feedback as much as possible in the last months. We've just done a complete redesign of the application and got a pretty good product market fit now and starting to get in the first sales now.
And how sticky are your customers already?
Yeah, they're quite sticky. We've got about 15% churn, but we've got a high number of daily active users.
Great. And for the B2C piece, how do you differentiate to a player like Amboss, who's like super successful, raised large Series B round?
Yeah, great that you're asking. Amboss is grew out of being a study platform. So Amboss is covering everything that you need to learn and when you want to research what you want to learn. But we are there for the daily use. So we're kind of not trying to replicate a Wikipedia or an Amboss. We're like a toolbox, what you need for the daily use. So Amboss is covering the studies. We're covering the things you need in the day-to-day life.
Thanks. Yeah, great presentation. A little bit about the technology. Like, is it a database system, rules-based? Is there any AI? Essentially, what's your moat around the product itself?
Yeah, we've got a basic database system, content management system. Our medical team is inputting all the data manually, but we, of course, are text-based, and by that, we are supercharging processes using large language models. We've trained our own version of ChatGPT with embeddings and all the data that the medical team is using, so they can use just our AI, and it gives the sources.
That's also the problem with doctors and using ChatGPT, because they don't know if the answer is valid. So they need a source, and we've got the data collected. So what we've did our own MEDICEO GPT, where you ask your medical question, but you can scroll down to see the sources. So we've trained the model with all the medical guidelines.
I think as a follow-up question to that, since you're using LLMs, how do you deal with the risks around that, right? Hallucination, where the model spits out something that is completely false. How do you deal with that?
We are currently only using it internally, so our medical team is checking all the information double or triple, and we rolled out the chatbot as a very, very closed beta to gain some data, ratings, good or bad sources. And if we are successful in this and getting good feedback, and if it's working well, then we will provide it to the public, but everything is checked by a doctor in the end.
Okay, thank you.
For the B2B part, is anyone else doing it? Or are you the only player out there telling the doctor how much to use in an emergency?
Yeah, pretty much in B2B we are the only ones. There are traditional content delivery systems in a hospital, but yeah, they feel like an infrastructure from 1980. There is no one else doing this in B2B.
Yes, obviously the sales cycles are quite long. We've been in a call with another university hospital, and they were like, okay, our doctors use this product and we want to integrate it. And so, yeah, it's getting forward. But we want to now just focus on the pilot integration, to do it one time smoothly, and then build up a B2B sales funnel.
And what would you
Very
do
brief
with...
last question, sorry. Time's almost up.
Just a quick one. Seed stage, seed funding, how much are you raising?
800,000 euro.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and now, as you can see, the jury has come to its decision. So we will hand over to Ram to announce tonight's winner.
Yes, there we go. Okay, guys, the startups once again, really amazing pitches. I want to remind everyone to apply to the incubator. We need to incubate startups for the next accelerator program, and the next demo day will be in February. I believe it's the first week of February. Schedule an idea talks with me if you just have an idea. And last but not least, I want, first of all, a round of applause for our jury. And moving forward, my goal is to really nurture the alumni investor community, the business angels that have been with us today. We're going to start a private closed Slack channel, which you will be invited. You guys need to help me identify more alumni amongst you and be active, because it's people that make this community. And this is very, very important. So this is the next step. Hopefully next demo day, we have a strong alumni community of investors. All right. Caro. Caro is our CFO, Carolina Christic, and she made this happen, by the way, the money. I always need to be... Well, what did you think today?
Well, first of all, thank you all. I mean, also, Franziska, seeing somebody from this generation, you know, I know why I'm getting up in the morning and trying to find funds. And to be very honest, you know, so Ram approached me, and then I was sort of in our president's office, you know, talking to him and saying, look, let's make this a bit different to all the other prizes, you know, so we will be committed and we will be fast. So I'm really glad that you approached me, you know, it was a good day. Impressed by the presentations, you know, great alumni, so it was worth being here, definitely.
Thank you. Okay, so Caro will present the runner-up, and Nils, I will then ask you to present the winner. It was tough, it was a split decision, and then they had to fight back there between themselves to see who gets it. So, as I said, amazing startups, all of you. And we're going to start with the runner-up. Now, you were all great, but we believe, Caro, you can hold this. We believe that the runner-up has some good traction, pretty good team, pretty committed, and we would like to invite...
Come on. DatafabriQ.
DatafabriQ. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Well done. You did it. I know.
Thank you.
So, a picture.
So, congrats.
Thank you very much.
We line up for the photo.
Check, not unusual.
Awesome. We'll do a group picture. Yeah. So please just wait here for the group picture, okay? Nils, any final words? How was it for you?
Such an exciting evening. Thanks for coming, and I look forward to who the winner is going to be. So back to you.
Yeah, once again, the winner, we had 3 different winners between the judges. Then we started again looking at the Q&A, how did they answer, the traction, and so forth. And Nils, I'd like you to announce the winner.
Oh, okay. MEDICEO. Here we are.
Thank you everyone for coming to this evening. We are now going to take a picture with all the startups as well as the venture capitalists here. Thank you so much for coming. Outside is food. It was a great energy. Come next time.